You're walking through Edinburgh's bustling streets, soaking in the historic charm of its cobblestone roads and grand architecture. It's the kind of place where every corner seems to hold a story. But what if I told you there's an entire hidden world lying just beneath your feet? Beneath the vibrant city lies the South Bridge Vaults, a network of underground chambers forgotten for centuries. These dark, damp spaces were once home to merchants, families, and even criminals before being sealed off and buried in time. But what really happened down there? And why do so many believe the vaults are haunted to this day? Join us as we uncover the hidden world beneath Edinburgh's streets. From its construction to its abandonment and eventual rediscovery, this story is filled with mystery, tragedy, and a few eerie surprises. Before we dive into this underground world, here's something to think about. Beneath the cities we live in today, how many stories might still be waiting to be uncovered? What secrets could be hidden beneath your own feet? If you're as fascinated by the truth that are hidden as we are, hit that like button, subscribe to the Truth Files, and tap the bell so you never miss a story. And as we explore, ask yourself, would you dare to walk through these dark, mysterious vaults? Let us know in the comments below. The birth of South Bridge. To understand the South Bridge vaults, we have to travel back to the late 1700s. Edinburgh, at the time, was bursting at the seams. Over 60,000 people were crammed into a small area near Edinburgh Castle, living in narrow, winding streets lined with towering tenements. The city's buildings stretched as high as 14 stories, casting dark shadows over the streets below. Sanitation was poor, with waste often dumped directly onto the roads. It was a messy, overcrowded, and frankly, miserable way to live. The solution? Expand the city. Engineers proposed two major bridges, the North Bridge, completed in 1785, and the South Bridge, which would link the city's main pedestrian street to the University of Edinburgh. But here's where things get interesting. South Bridge wasn't just a bridge, it was a hollow structure. Inside, there were a series of chambers and passageways, later known as the South Bridge Vaults. These spaces were designed to house merchants, workshops, and storage for goods. It was a bold and innovative idea, but like all ambitious plans, it didn't go exactly as intended. The vaults rise and fall. At first, the vaults were a success. Merchants rented the chambers to store their goods, tradesmen set up workshops, and taverns offered a lively space for people to gather. Beneath the busy streets, the vaults were an extension of Edinburgh's thriving economy. But within a few years, a fatal flaw emerged. The vaults weren't waterproof. Rainwater began seeping through the stone walls, leaving the chambers damp and musty. Flooding became a frequent problem, and merchants worried about the damage to their goods. By the early 1800s, most of the businesses had moved out, leaving the vaults empty, or so it seemed. With legitimate tenants gone, the vaults became a refuge for Edinburgh's poorest residents. Families with nowhere else to go moved into the dark, cramped spaces. The conditions were horrendous. No light, no ventilation, and no sanitation. Imagine trying to live in a space like that. But it wasn't just the poor who made their way into the vaults. Criminals, smugglers, and even body snatchers began using the hidden chambers for their activities. Some stories even claim that Edinburgh's infamous body snatchers, Burke and Hare, stored corpses here before selling them to medical schools. The vaults had gone from being a bustling underground marketplace to a dangerous, lawless underworld. By the mid-1800s, the conditions were so bad that even the squatters left. The city sealed the chambers, filled them with rubble, and moved on, burying the vaults and their dark history for over a century. Rediscovery of the vaults. Fast forward to the 1980s. During a routine renovation near South Bridge, a local rugby player stumbled upon an entrance to the forgotten chambers. What he found was astonishing, a maze of passageways and chambers, perfectly preserved beneath the city streets. As the rubble was cleared, artifacts began to emerge. Oyster shells, a cheap staple food for Edinburgh's working-class residents, were scattered across the floors. Old tools, broken bottles, and tattered shoes gave a glimpse into the lives of the people who once lived and worked here. But the discovery also came with chilling stories. Visitors reported hearing whispers, feeling sudden drops in temperature, and seeing shadowy figures moving through the chambers. Could the spirits of those who suffered here still linger in the dark? One of the most famous stories is of a little boy named Jack, whose playful spirit is said to tug at visitors' clothes or follow them through the vaults. Another legend speaks of the Watcher, a dark, menacing presence that some claim guards the deepest parts of the vaults. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, the atmosphere in the vaults is undeniably eerie. The vaults today. Let's go in the vault today. The South Bridge vaults are one of Edinburgh's most popular attractions. Guided tours take you deep into the chambers, where you can see the spaces once used by merchants, the cramped rooms where families lived, and the dark corners where criminals once hid. Walking through the vaults, you'll feel the weight of history. The rough stone walls and the damp air make it easy to imagine what life must have been like for the people who called this place home. And then there are the ghost stories. Annie's room, where visitors leave toys for the spirit of a young girl, is said to be one of the most active areas. And if you're brave enough to venture deeper, you might encounter the Watcher, silently guarding the vault's darkest secrets. The South Bridge vaults are more than just an underground attraction. They're a chilling reminder of Edinburgh's layered history. From bustling merchants to struggling families and shadowy criminals, these vaults have seen it all. Their walls hold the echoes of survival, mystery, and perhaps something more. If this journey into Edinburgh's hidden world satisfied your curiosity, give this video a like and share it with your friends who love uncovering mysteries. And if you're hungry for more, click on these videos to explore even more hidden stories and fascinating secrets. Go ahead, stay curious, and stick with us here on the Truth Files.